Welcome back to 6th grade math. Today we are talking about dividing fractions, and this is part 3 of the divide fraction videos. Our goals for this video are to solve word problems that involve dividing fractions and mixed numbers. Before we get started, let's review dividing fractions, which is what we learned in our last video. To divide a fraction by another fraction, rewrite the problem as the first fraction times, so we're going to multiply, the reciprocal of the second, which means the 8 goes to the top and the 3 goes to the bottom. Okay, and now we just multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and then simplify. So that's 32, that's 15. I'm going to divide 32 by 15. 15 goes into 32 2 whole times, which is 30. My remainder is 2/15, and 2 and 15 cannot be simplified, so that is my final answer, 2 and 2/15. So let's talk about dividing fractions in the real world. It's important that when you do have word problems like the ones below, you read really carefully, okay? Sometimes it's easy to see that a word problem requires division, but you have to make sure you are placing your numbers in the right position. So I want you to remember that the amount that you're starting with, okay, is your total, and that's the number that would go first. And then sometimes that's the bigger number, sometimes that's the smaller number. So let's look at our two examples and decide how would we write these multiplication problems. So Frances and 3 of her friends have 1/4 gallon of lemonade to share equally. How much lemonade will each person get? What division problem would you write to solve this problem? Okay, so think about what are they dividing? They're dividing the lemonade. Okay, so we have lemonade divided by friends. Okay, divided by the people. So the lemonade, the amount of lemonade has to go first, and they have 1/4 of a gallon. So 1/4 is going first. How many people are splitting it? Frances and 3 of her friends. So they're dividing it by 4. 1/4 has to go first. You're dividing the lemonade. You're not dividing the friends. Okay. The next one, Frances needs 4/5 meter of ribbon to make a bow. She has 60 meters of ribbon. How many bows can she make? What division problem would you write to solve this problem? Think about it. Choose your answer to check. So this time we're dividing all of the ribbon, the total amount of ribbon, and we're dividing it by however much she needs for one bow. Okay, well, she has 60 meters of ribbon, and each bow takes 4/5 of a meter. So you're taking the total ribbon, 60, and you're dividing it by 4/5 to see how many bows she can make. So you really have to just watch and what makes sense. That whatever you're splitting up always goes first. So the first one, they were splitting lemonade. The second one, they were splitting up a lot of ribbon. When you are going through the problem solving process, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. So it's always good to have a plan. Always read your problem first, maybe a couple of times, so that you can really understand what's happening. Ask for help if you're not sure what the problem is even talking about. Once you have read the problem, you understand it, okay, try to write out the math problem that you're going to need to solve it. If you're doing division, make sure that just like on the last two examples we just did, make sure that your numbers are in the correct order. Read the problem again just to make sure it really makes sense. Then you're going to solve. You can write your steps to the side out on your paper. It depends, on what type of problem it is. Sometimes you can do those steps in your head, but it's good to put it on paper to make sure you're not making those mistakes. Okay. And then always go back and check to make sure, does my answer make sense? Is it reasonable? If you're starting out with, for example, this right here, if you're starting out with 1/4 gallon of lemonade, is it going to make sense that each friend gets 16 gallons of lemonade? No. So go back and figure out, okay, does this make sense? So let's try one. Mrs. O'Connor is making placemats. She has 7/8 yard of fabric. She uses 1/4 yard to make one placemat. How many whole placemats can she make? I love that, whole. Okay. So again, we need total fabric, and we're dividing it into the amount that we need. Okay, so we're going to divide it by however much you need to make placemat. Well, we have 7/8 total, and each placemat takes 1/4 of that. So we're doing 7/8 divided by 1/4. Remember that when we are dividing, you leave your total alone. You keep your first fraction. We don't want to alter that, but we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm doing 7 times 4, 28. 8 times 1, 8. And I need to simplify this. So I'm going to come over here and do a division problem off to the side. 8 goes into 28 3 times. That's 24. And I have a remainder of 4. Remember the question, how many whole placemats can she make? She can make 3 whole placemats. She will have some fabric left over, but not enough to make a whole nother placemat. So the answer is 3. A recipe calls for 2 3/4 cups of nuts for each person. And Tanya has 16.5 cups. How many people can she serve? So I want you to pause the video and think about how should you order this problem. What number goes first? Think about the total divided by the amount that each person is getting. Okay, did you say 16.5 divided by, this is how much she has, and this is how much each person needs. Okay, so in order to be ready to divide, both of our numbers need to be improper instead of a mixed number. So 16 times 2 is 32. You multiply that, and then you add your numerator. So that's 33 over 2. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11 over 4. But now we're going to switch this to 33 over 2 times 4 over 11. Change to the reciprocal. Okay. I'm going to have to move up because I ran out of space. So I know the bottom's going to be 22. The top, 32 times 4. I'm just doing some work off to the side. 128. And again, I'm trying to figure out how many people can I serve. So I need to simplify this and figure out what's my whole number here. So 128 divided by 22. Okay, so 22, we have to think about how many times can it go into 128. Let's see what 22 times 5 is. 110. If I did another 22, it would go over. So I'm going to squeeze a 5 in right there. That is 110. And I'm left with 18 out of 22. So 5 people, okay, are going to be able to be served. And then there is going to be some left over, but not enough for another person. So my answer is 5 people. So before you leave, make sure you can solve word problems that involve dividing fractions and mixed numbers. And thanks for watching.